Hello, this is Book a Day, and today I'm going to be talking about Critical Fails by Robert Bevan. This is a lit RPG. A lit RPG is a book based around an RPG engine, much like you'd see in a tabletop game or video game. We start off our book with a group of friends who are trying to play a Creatures and Caverns game, which is pretty much this world's version of Dungeons and Dragons. We have four guys that are introduced. Coop, who is kind of a general a-hole and instigator of all things. We have Timothy and his sister Catherine, who we will see more of later on in the book. And we have Dave, a buddy of the two of them, but who's been having more personal issues with the way Cooper treats people, including himself. And Julian, who is a buddy of Cooper's from school and work and decided to give the game a try. Because Cooper got tired of running the game, he decided to reach out on some sort of forum or personal ad saying they need a GM. We have a response to it, thus having a game night at the chicken hut that Timothy works at. Enter scene Mordred, an obese nerd wearing a cloak and trying to pull off a count-like look for a GM. From the first entrance of Mordred, he is immediately berated for the way he looks and dresses by Cooper and party. Cooper, of course, being the general instigator. Meanwhile, Catherine's getting ready for a date, sees Mordred, and dips out the back. They get settled and start to play the game, and immediately start messing up the flow of game by killing off NPCs randomly and taking their heads. Thank you, Cooper. And just messing around and getting beers midway through the beginning of the game. This frustrates Mordred because he's here to enjoy a game and try to meet new friends. Right when you start to feel bad for Mordred, he starts to show his true colors by providing a set of magical dice that, once rolled, sends you into the game of Creatures and Caverns in person. This is unfortunate for our group of misfits because they were in the middle of a chase with a couple of the local guardsmen. Cooper is now a half-orc, half-human barbarian. Dave is now a dwarf cleric. Julian is now a wizard elf. And Timothy is now a halfling rogue. We are then introduced to our primary antagonist directly to our group, Captain Righteous. Yeah, he's a lot like his name. Our characters are stumbling around, trying to get their bearings, and failing miserably. They find out that the severed head that Cooper decided to keep was being used as a conduit for Mordred to not only berate them for all of the grief that they gave him earlier in the day, but to poke fun, laugh at, and on occasion provide a little help, mostly to Julian because he was one of the few that wanted to actually learn and enjoy the game. Our group gets themselves together enough to point in a direction and run away because they quickly found out that not only can they be hurt, but they can be killed. Meanwhile, while our guys are trying to figure out what they're doing to get themselves out of this situation, Catherine comes back to the chicken hut to either check up on her brother or to do something that they didn't specify in the book. She just sees Mordred chilling at the table with his CNC module and all the guys' phones on the table. She immediately demands what is happening of Mordred, which he panics, throws one of the dice at her, and says, "Here, catch." As Catherine is in a no-nonsense mood, she throws the die right back at him and then gets sucked into the game. Mordred thinks that's that, and then we have her boyfriend Chaz, a handsome yet musclehead-looking guy who actually used to play CNC back in the day. He actually shows interest in wanting to play the game and decides to sit down for a go at it. Mordred panics again, passes him a die, and then has him roll for whatever. The two of them have been put into the game Catherine as a beautiful druid half-elf with a animal companion, a wolf, that she names Butterbean. And Chaz becomes a gangly blonde bard, which he immediately understands he's probably going to be screwed real quick. They are found by Julian's familiar, Ravenous, a little bonus Mordred had offered him as a little bonus to Julian as being a new player and somewhat of a good sport so far. And the fun can only continue from here. This book has made me laugh a lot. And it's mostly a bunch of petty a-holes being petty a-holes to each other. Reminds me of my first apartment. It follows heavy in the role-playing of the game, where if a character is considered stupid, much like Cooper's character, then he can't read, and he also has really low charisma, which makes him just like gross to be around. Absolutely gross. There are multiple scenes where he is either farting, shitting, or pissing himself, sometimes all at once. There are other times when a character has high charisma, even though he isn't very versed in the game. Julian, he is constantly called upon to do any form of interaction with any of the NPCs, mostly due to the fact that they need a good role to be able to carry on with the mission. There's some unique engines in the game, like you can only use magic spells up to a certain amount that you can either dedicate your time to learning in the morning, evening, or night, depending on whenever you set your reset time for spells. The focus on stats themselves are very vital to what they can and can't do. So it's a very close and well-rounded story for a lit RPG. Not to mention, it's just hilarious. I would give this a 4 out of 5. Just a lot of fun. Stupid idiots being stupid idiots. It's just a good book. If you're looking for a lot of laughs, I can't recommend it enough. Alrighty, this has been Book a Day, and I hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.